Every day, said the old man, the dragon demands the sacrifice of a beautiful maiden. And now all the young girls have been killed. The king's daughter alone remains, and unless we can find a knight who can slay the dragon, she'll be sacrificed tomorrow. Hello and welcome to the Friday Fantasy Show from the Bottled Imp, exploring the realms of fantasy. My name is Ken Boyter and today we are looking at 7 fantastic George and the Dragon fantasy facts. Oh yes, because recently it has been St. George's Day. St. George's Day in England, but enough about that at the moment because why St. George? Well, St. George is the patron saint of England. He's popularly, if I can say that, identified with England and English ideals of honour, bravery, but not speaking, but gallantry as well. But very little, if anything, is known about the real St. George. Pope Gelasius, that's how you pronounce it, said that George is one of the saints whose names are rightfully revered amongst us, but whose actions are only known to God. And why 7? Well, 7 is a pretty cool number anyway, but it's everywhere. 7's deadly sins from Christianity, not the Bible, as I got wrong. They're not in the Bible apparently. 7 heavens, 7 days in the week, 7 colours in the rainbow, the 7 seas. And the list goes on and on, but also in numerology, the number 7 is the seeker, the thinker, the searcher of truth. And that's what we intend to do. So let's seek out the truth about our 7 fantastic George and the Dragon fantasy facts. Here are some surprising fantasy, well, they're not necessarily fantasy facts, but they're facts that are fantasy related. Anyway, about the Dragon Slayer.
Listen.
Yes, you might be surprised to know that St. George wasn't English. I know, shock horror. He was actually born in Cappadocia, which is part of modern-day Turkey, and he lived in the 3rd century AD. His parents were Christians, and that when his father died, George's mother returned to her native Palestine, taking George with her. George became a soldier in the Roman army and rose to the rank of tribune. Tribune? Don't know, I'm not a soldier.
X.
Yeah, number 6. Oh, just to point out that this isn't really in any order. We just like a countdown. Yes, St. George was adopted in England. In the Golden Legend, which was printed in 1483 by Caxton, England adopted St. George along with the slaying of a dragon, because it was similar to an Anglo-Saxon legend. St. George was quickly incorporated into miracle plays adapted from pagan sources and is the prime figure in Spenser's famous epic poem The Faerie Queen, a translation of a book by Jacques de Vaugin, again with the pronunciation, a French bishop, which incorporated fantastic details of the saints' lives that was thought to be the main reason for the dragon slaying aspect of the story. Yes, number 5 is St. George's Day is celebrated in a number of different countries around the world, usually in April or May. I know, I just thought it was in England. Anyway, 23rd of April was named St. George's Day in 1222. The date of St. George's Day occasionally changes if it falls close to Easter. In 2011, it was moved from its usual date to the 2nd of May, and in 2014, it moved to the 28th of April.
Number
4, yes. St. George was a Roman soldier. According to legend, St. George was a Roman soldier of Greek and Palestine origin and officer in the guard of Roman Emperor, let's get this right, Diocletian. Seriously, I need some coaching lessons here. Edward III made St. George the patron saint of England when he founded England's Order of Knights, Order of the Garter, in 1350. What do you think to that? He was put to death on the 23rd of April 303 for refusing to give up Christianity. George tore up the emperor's order against Christians. This infuriated that emperor that I can't pronounce his name, Diocletian, and George was imprisoned and tortured, but he refused to deny his faith. Eventually, he was dragged through the streets of Dispolius, which is now Lydia, in Palestine, and beheaded. It's said that Diocletian's wife was so impressed by George's resilience that she became a Christian, and that she too was executed for her faith.
Ooh.
The flag of England comes from St George's Cross. It's also used as part of the familiar Union flag of the UK. Plus, St George is also, get this, the patron saint of Aragon. I don't know if that's from Lord of the Rings. It's not. It's probably my pronunciation. Catalonia, Ethiopia, Georgia, Greece, Lithuania, Palestine, Portugal and Russia. And you may not know, but the country Georgia is named after St George.
An.
And the final one, St George didn't save a maiden from a dragon. Yes. According to the Martyrdom of St George in the South English Legendary, edited by E. Gordon Watley, the image of George most familiar to us today, the saint dressed in a white tunic, bedecked with a red cross, astride his stallion and skewering a dragon as he rescues a fair maiden, depends more on the late medieval and Renaissance ideal of Miles Christie, Knight of Christ, than on the legend in its earlier forms, in which the dragon and the maiden play no part. I know, you weren't there. And George's role is one of verbal jousting and violent suffering rather than knightly daring do. There we are. That's 7 fantastic fantasy George and the Dragon facts for you. There we are, 7 fantastic George and the Dragon fantasy facts. I know. Well, I believe that you're real, don't worry. Thank you so much for watching, whatever that meant. We do have other YouTube videos, as you've probably guessed. We've got loads of reviews out there. I've even done a writing fantasy, because I did write a book, so it's all about my experiences. Plus, we do have 7 fantastic fantasy facts of other subjects as well. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, remember to keep it unreal, especially if you're a dragon or a knight.